Hi. Nice to meet you. How are you?
Hi.
Piacere.
Look at that. Look at that. He just woke up and decided to just speak Italian. He just learned it overnight.
Good. Okay. So, let's start. How intense and stressful was the training required for this movie, and how did you prepare for this challenge? All of you.
I mean, the preparation came through Tom. Really, it was this training program that he put together for us. We swam 3 days a week. We flew 2 or 3 days a week. We did about 40 hours of flight training across 3 different aircraft before we got into the F-18s. I'll let these guys answer on how hard or intense it was, but we felt we were very prepared. By the time we got into the jets, we were, Tom wanted us to be pilots and wanted us to feel like as comfortable and as knowledgeable as we could possibly be in the jets. And I think we did that through the training.
Yeah. And as far as the challenge, I'm already getting tight based on how traumatizing it was. Now, the toughest part for me was the beginning of the training, just because I was afraid of flying when it all started. So the idea of getting on a plane was just the last thing I ever wanted to do. But then once we ended up learning the physics of flight, what creates lift and how planes work in the first place, that kind of went out the way. And then, so early on was the toughest part for me, which was the Cessna. And then before we graduated to the Extra 300, which is a little stunt plane. I think that little transition period was probably the part that I was like, what am I doing?
No, the hardest part for me was swimming. I mean, I didn't know how to swim before starting this film, so I was able to learn with an Olympic open water swim coach, which was intense. We were swimming with 40 pounds of gear on, in order to pass this military Navy qualification.
Helmet, boots,
This dude's
gloves.
he's an Olympic coach teaching him how to do a freestyle, and
just teaching me how to not drown.
Yeah.
I think that was the toughest part for me, and I mean, it was such a victory once we finished that swim test that to qualify to get into F-18. It felt like a graduation celebration we had.
What's your relationship with Tony Scott's Top Gun, with the first Top Gun, and how was taking part in such an important production?
Seeing the first Top Gun when I was a child, I mean, it was something amazing. I always loved action films, but I was so used to seeing big explosions, shootouts, running in the streets and stuff like that. I had never seen a airplane movie that was like a blockbuster, so that was something very, very cool to me. I never thought I would be in one, but I said, I want to do that. So to get a chance to do it and add that to the bucket list and scratch it off, that's amazing. But to be a part of this one, it's like a dream come true.
Epic.
Yeah.
Epic. I watched the first movie. I was a kid. I was like 8 or 9 years old. I watched it on an Air Force base in Austin, Texas. And I remember just the feeling of seeing so many people in the room gasp at the same time and clap at the same time. And I don't know, I just fell in love with watching aviation on screen, and what Tony Scott had created with that original film was just so beautiful. And then fast forward to be a part of it now, like Tarzan said, it's still unreal. It's crazy that we're even sitting here talking to you about this movie, because it just, I'll speak for myself, but it's just it was such a big dream. And to see that we're actually getting to live it is just, it's wild.
Last question, very last question. In this movie, Maverick is a teacher, is a mentor. Was Tom Cruise on set too? Do you feel you have learned something from him?
Yeah.
Very much so, yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, I think the movie paralleled so much of what was happening in real life, of he was mentoring us through the process, through the training process, but also through the filmmaking process, storytelling process. We became, by the end of it, a unit that was just all more knowledgeable in storytelling, but also in quite literally just flying.
Yeah, it's crazy because you sit there and you go to work with Tom every day, and every day you truly learn something new. One day it's something about acting, and it's a note that he gives you and he just whispers something in your ear, and then the next day he's telling you a story about Mission Impossible 3, 4, 5. It's every day is it's a masterclass. You're getting a masterclass in filmmaking, in acting, and in flight, all at the same time.
You learn a lot.
Thank you very much. Congratulations and keep it up. Bye.
Thank you. Grazie mille.
Bye bye. Ciao.
Ciao.
Nice to meet you. So let's start. Top Gun Maverick is a spectacular movie, and the action is shot mostly in the cockpits. Would you have faced piloted one in the movie too? And what's your relationship with danger and adrenaline?
It's a good question. I think part of what makes this movie so exciting is the fact that it is, it's shot practically. We see the G-forces on the faces of the pilots, and we see the background receding. We see planes in the shot. It's exciting. It's the adrenaline is very much there, and it comes off the screen. Part of the decision to make sure that we were able to release this film only in theaters and to do it safely so people could actually go experience this incredibly visceral, exciting film was we wanted that to be a possibility. We wanted them to go to the movie theater to see this big and loud. That's how we shot it. There's not very many movies left that are about normal people doing extraordinary things that aren't about CGI superheroes or what have you. This is kind of a throwback, but it very much reminds you of why we make movies in the first place, to get people together and to be very entertaining and to be very exciting and adrenaline filled and dangerous and all of that.
What does the first Top Gun represent for you? How much did it influence on the young Jon Hamm in the choice of his acting and professional path?
Well, I won't say that it was instrumental in me becoming an actor, but I will say that when I saw the film when I was 15 years old in the cinema, I remember thinking as soon as it was over, I wanted to see it again because it had that kind of impact on me. And what it really was for me was it was kind of the definition of cool. Tom Cruise was cool. Val Kilmer was cool. Those sunglasses were cool. Those jets and motorcycles and leather jackets and volleyball and everything about it was cool. It was, and that was on purpose. What Tony Scott did in that first film was sort of define for a generation what cool was. And the music in it was amazing. Danger Zone, like all of these things about it still stick with me as now a 51-year-old man, but it's still, I look back on that and I think that was cool. And when I come out of this one, I think the same thing. I think, for a new generation, we're showing them what cool is.
Cyclone is a stoic soldier. Do you think that in everyday life, order and control, or be brave and reckless are more necessary?
I think that, you need two sides of every coin, I think, obviously. And I think that there's a respect that Cyclone has for Maverick and what he does, because he pushes himself to the limit. And there's something impressive about that and necessary. You need people like that. I think also that what Cyclone does is very important too. Establishing, rules and establishing regulations and making sure that they're followed are important, especially when you're dealing with people's lives and you're dealing with millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer-funded equipment. So you need both sides of those people, and I think that both men recognize in the other the necessity of the other.
Okay, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Grazie, Gabriele.
Ciao.
Ciao.